Doug Littrell, June 14th. This is video number 14. What you're about to hear is a one-page written statement. It's a very important topic for me. And I have thought about it for many years. I've written about it several times, but this is the one. This statement is what's going to appear in this video. And this says exactly what I want to say about this. Talked to my son about this last night after watching an investigation discovery program. Got up this morning and wrote this essay. It's called Christianity's Authoritarian Approach to Sex is Wrong. An excessive number of women have lost their lives because of the way Christianity addresses human sexuality. You don't think so? I'm about to tell you why. This was illustrated in an investigation discovery story that came on at 8 p.m. Central Time last night. A young woman of Vietnamese descent was murdered in a building she had just moved into with her 2-year-old son. The father of the son was a prime suspect, as well as a young man who had used his truck to help her move and was owed $25, which person found her body when for the second time on that day he had gone by to collect the money, and she didn't answer the door. As he then climbed through a window after the toddler inside indicated to him that his mother was dead. The guilty party turned out to be a male tenant also living in that building, who wasn't even a suspect until after investigators questioned him and left an interrogation room, as its cameras would then record him kneeling down while facing his chair to pray. At the time of the murder, he had entered her apartment in bare feet, expecting to have sex with her for what likely would have been the second time, it now appears. But she refused him. Therefore, he hit her in the head with a frying pan so hard that its handle broke off, while knocking out 2 or 3 of her teeth that were found on the floor. After having sex with her, he placed her in the bathtub and slit her throat so that she bled out. Though indirectly, this is nonetheless the result of Christianity's authoritarian approach to sex. In the pragmatic sense, men indeed shouldn't have unrestrained sex with lots of women because such acts will too easily cause pregnancies that lead to neglected children, as many unwanted births inevitably lead to unacceptably high crime rates. But when you make the public well aware of that enormous potential problem, teach the public that such a pattern is highly unacceptable since it makes things bad for everyone, while we endorse contraception with abortion as its rare backup, the resolution to that difficulty is fully attained. For sex is simply too integral to the feeling of health and well-being of what's likely the vast majority of our kind, or so it seems. It's too important to how many feel their life rhythms, while it's not a drug, nor is it dirty. Meanwhile, Christian faith has made sex dirty, wherein that seems to be linked to that one pragmatic human difficulty I just explained, though that religion nonetheless turned it into a way to leverage males who need sex. Thus, so many men have concluded they need to go to church to find a woman, thinking that's been induced by design, not accident, which thinking has been serving to propagate this false and unworthy belief system. As a result, the need for sex has been used to proliferate Christian dogma and its means of social control, i.e., a social theory that's both artificial and wrong. It tells both men and women that it's bad for a male to look at a female when it comes to any kind of sexual arousal. Thus, not a few females who are in tacit collaboration with cagey clergy members use that to blackmail men. Masturbation is also viewed as dirty and bad, particularly anything that might enhance it, which stigmatization is nothing but an automatic extension of their game and or con. For sex and moral purity are not related, while holiness is nothing more than contrived fiction. Such things are meant to control the masses, which devices in our day are only leading to exorbitant crime rates. For it is clergy members who need to emphasize sex being dirty because that ultimately increases their clientele. Meanwhile, masturbation viewed as a catalyst of crime, also as less than manly, that in order to have any kind of sexual experience, each man should always have a partner, only leads to what happened to the young Vietnamese woman. Even so, masturbation is a physiological release that helps kick the can down the road, except this time in a constructive manner, as long as a person doesn't bother someone while doing so. It's what a man should do when he is in a state of holding in the social sense until he can make something of himself, so that afterward he'll be able to impress the kind of woman he truly desires and can love. On the page I was reading from, there were a couple of lines missing at the bottom, the printed out page I had. I've got those on my computer screen, so I'm going to go ahead and read those again. I didn't have the last sentence in what you just heard in this video. It's what a man should do when he is in a state of holding in the social sense until he can make something of himself, so that afterward he'll be able to impress the kind of woman he truly desires to be with, to love and caress. Yet all of this remains quite upside down at this present time. That's it. One more note I would add is that women, are equal to men. They're just have a different gender they're born with. Women can do anything that a man can do. It's just that we have a tradition that men are the achievers and then the women gravitate to them. That's just an old human tradition that got handed down. And so, I'm basically reinforcing that with what I read to some extent, but I believe that any woman can be a innovator as well. A person doesn't have to be a male, and it doesn't have to work in this way, like I've described it. But this is the way it has worked a lot of the time. So I want to make that clarification too. Thanks.